administration aspect of it. Very thankful for Assistant Chief Romolo, who had put together this particular effort where we're seeing true results out of that we need to continue on. Make sure that we're, again, being consistent in regards to how we're investigating, but also working with the DA's office, work with a number of different our community partners to ensure that we are taking care of the entire picture of what this challenge looks like. But we're also working with a number of community stakeholders to have some alternatives, solutions for this, because we all know that you're not going to rest your way out of this particular situation. Being able to impact our young ones who are involved in these particular situations, and even some of those who are a little bit older than the young ones, so that we can have a redirection of those efforts into more productive aspects. So we're, again, being strategic about our task force, but also working with a number of different partners, the Running Rebels, the Safe and Sounds, to be able to affect those other aspects of putting positive type of engagement in those who are unfortunately being involved in some of these illegal behaviors out there that we're seeing in our city.
In terms of collaboration, and this is for both the chief and the mayor, in terms of collaboration, how does the Office of Violence Prevention play a role in the police's work? And we've seen some common council members criticize them lately and the work, questioning if they're doing enough. Do you believe they're doing enough, and do you think they're valuable to our city?
So first, I believe that Office of Violence Prevention has a role in being able to prevent and also be able to intercede. I see those works, I see those efforts. We have a robust relationship with the office in regards to they're part of our weekly reviews. We have a public safety review. We expanded just from shootings. We're talking about motor vehicle thefts and other particular issues of harm in our city. So being a part of those conversations, seeing that, I see the work, I see the effort. I know that many of the different individuals within the Office of Violence Prevention are conversating and have regular conversations with my investigators and officers, and also district commanders. So seeing the proof in the pudding of those works and understanding their role, I'm appreciative. I understand that it's not only the police department out there doing the work. So definitely have a good working relationship, a positive working relationship, and that we are going to do our part to be supportive in that.
Mayor, do you have any comments on the criticism that they faced recently?
My comment is this, is that when we talk about public safety, it has to be holistic, right? I just said just a moment ago, it cannot just be myself. It cannot just be the chief listed off, or the police department, itself. It's got to be a whole host of partners that are working to affect public safety in Milwaukee, and violence prevention is part of that. And so we should be supporting every and all efforts in order to reduce violence in Milwaukee, including efforts to stop it before it even starts, or to have some intercessions before known individuals in communities that are hard hit or may suffer violent incidents, having interventions there so that folks don't make those decisions and pull triggers and ruin lives and harm neighborhoods. So holistic, it's got to be, and that's exactly what we'll continue to strive for.
You were asked a few minutes ago about what was the most challenging thing to address today with the increases in crime. I would ask the reverse. What, compared to where we may have been a year ago, was there any specific stride that perhaps you're most proud of, or that you think has been most significant in deploying different resources to?
Reckless driving. That is a tangible, I believe that, and I get only anecdotal stories in regards to the public, embracing the work that we're all doing from the mayor's office, from our seeing that we are making strides of behaviors being changed. We're not where we need to be at, but we are in the right direction. Seeing the multiple numbers of citations being issued. Had a town hall, the mayor was there with other partners out there, and one of the discussion that came up is punishment. And I say this, and I say it on the record. I don't want to punish anyone. I don't want a citation to be written, but it will, if there has to be that accountability. The tolls, I don't want to see one car taken away, but it will, if you don't know how to respect the rules of the road. So seeing our efforts, our collective efforts, ARPA dollars being invested into this, seeing that it's just more than the police department, our partners, our community stakeholders, the fire department got in the game with signs. I think it really taken the energy on itself of how we all have a role in affecting, challenges within our community. So I'm very appreciative of the community stakeholders. I'm very appreciative of our government partners. How we all taking a, respective proactive role in changing that trajectory. We still got work to do, but we're in the right role. I don't know if you want to.
Yeah, I'll touch base on that too, because I agree with that 100%. 100%. When we unveiled the towing policy, I said something very similar to what the chief said. I don't want to tow anybody's car. I don't want it to happen. But listen, if you're not going to obey the rules of the road, if you're going to endanger everybody else's public safety, if you're going to get behind the wheel of a vehicle and make a choice, these are choices to drive recklessly, right? Then there's a consequence for that. And all of us collectively as a community need to stand up and not just recognize, but say it, that when people cause death, harm, and destruction in Milwaukee, there needs to be a price to pay. You cannot just simply go out here and do that. Because guess what? If we don't have some sort of consequence, then folks think that they can do what they want with impunity. And you cannot have a civil society. You cannot have society if everybody is making up their own rules, their own laws on the road or with guns or with anything. We're just simply trying to get back to some common decency, back to basics in this city. Not just on the road, but in the way that we live our lives, the way that we treat our neighbors. That can't be understated. And we need everybody in the city to take up that mantle so that we can get back to basics here.
You guys have touched on this a little, and you can both answer it a little. I would just say, sometimes we go into the community after something like this, and I can bring the report and say, look, these are all down. We're making progress, and a lot of people in certain areas are still feeling like, I don't necessarily feel that directly. I'm still seeing so many guns. I'm still seeing, which is an issue. But to those homeowners or people living in communities who still feel like there's so much work to be done, or that some of the kids creating the problems, they are not necessarily going to go to running rebels, or they're refusing, or how do you chip away at that when homicides, regardless, homicides are a really bad number, and a lot of people are living in fear or hearing gunshots often? What do you say to those homeowners or those residents who we might go talk to today? If you understand that, if you could touch on that a little?
I say stay with us, work with us, be our partners. We can do this. We're already showing that we can have an impact. The numbers are improving. Now we still have work to do. Yes, that is absolutely certain. Nobody's hiding from the fact, right? But if we all continue to work together, we can make positive impact. We're already showing that it's possible. And I think about it like this, right? You think about it in terms of a grade point average for those parents or grandparents out there that are watching over their kids' GPAs. If you get a really great GPA, it only takes one that you've worked on, for so many years. It only takes one bad semester to send that GPA plummeting, for people to feel down. And it takes a lot of concentrated hard work over semester in order to get that GPA to rise again. We're working to get that GPA to rise in Milwaukee. We've got some good grades. There's still work to do, but we need everybody to stay with us and continue to work with us in order to move that number up, not just for themselves, but for their family, for their neighborhoods, for our community as a whole. So stick with us. We can do it. But it's important to note that everybody has got to be a part of the solution. Everybody. It's not just here. It's those folks who are on the other side of this camera watching this telecast as well. All right.
Thank you, Mayor. I echo the same thing. Numbers are just numbers. It does not codify or captures the feeling, the frustration. I've said it many times. We have a lot of work to do when building relationships. We know we have trust in many, somewhat trust in others, and no trust in other communities. It's important for us to be working with every part of our community. A couple months ago, we put out a strategic report in regards to the work that we're doing. But within that report, there's action items, because no one gets off the hook. When we talk about challenges, what are you doing to be part of that solution? and I know that there's a lot of energy in our community. Understand that there's a lot of, we want to do something. We put out a couple of points that could be useful in regards to how do you change the trajectory in regards to what we've seen for the homicides. You know, we know who are doing harm in our communities, but who are you talking to about it? If you're talking amongst yourselves, there's no good with that information. But if we can find ways where you want to use Crime Stoppers, you can be anonymous. If you want to have that relationship with that officer in that particular area, you can be, again, part of that conversation. Or you find ways to help out with those young ones, engage in auto thefts, volunteering, being a part of any type of community efforts. Or learn to be a mediator. Office of Violence Prevention went out and did a call before the Memorial Day weekend and asked for people to come out and be part of mediating what we're seeing as conflicts. Because, truth be told, the firearm problem is not just some felon who has a long record. You have individuals who have no record at all, using firearms to resolve their conflict. And there are people who know who that person is. You have a responsibility to say, what are you doing and why? Conflict is going to be there. Conflict is as old as any particular biblical story out there. But what is different in this day and age, we are using firearms to resolve simple conflicts, parking troubles, issues with the kids being loud. What are we doing, folks? So when we talk about how we can change this direction, there's always a plural word you're using, plural. We, us, not you or them, we. So I appreciate that. I understand that we need to be able to show that we are putting grit effort, collaborative effort, but as the mayor said, we can do more. Always can do more.
The mayor mentioned GPA. Give us a grade right now, the mid-year review. What grade would you give
Boy,
yourself?
I tell you, a B. Not A yet. I think that we do have those irrespective challenges. We talk about our homicides. We still have the challenge right now on fatals. You know, you saw the arsons, and that's, you know, coupled with the carjackings, where we have people stealing cars and set them on fire. But we are making great gains of bringing people into custody. We do a very good job of getting people in custody. And I think that's important to note, that the work that the men and women in the Milwaukee Police Department is 24/7, 365 days a year, no holidays off. When everybody's eating barbecues, there's somebody out there working, somebody enjoying the fireworks, there's someone swinging traffic. But that's the commitment that we give. And that's the urgency that I bring to the table, that we all are putting our effort in and showing, in regards to our numbers, that things are working, that we're on the right track, but we always can improve. Understand that.
Just following up on it real quick, is there more the juvenile justice system could do to help you out? I mean, you talk about bringing them into custody, but we hear in the community a lot about people just getting right back out again and doing it over again.
Sounds like a good question to ask them.
What would you say?
I do my part.
Right.
And I always say this, judge me on what my job is and what I'm expected to do. You have a press conference for them about that one.
Could they do more to help you out?
I will say this, we always can do more. We all can do more. When you live in a glass house, sir, you don't throw no rocks. So I know that we have a lot of work to do ourselves. I believe we're on the right track, but we still need to make sure that we stay on that track. Because just as the mayor said, you know, one incident, one situation can throw things out of whack. And we need to make sure that we're doing everything that we can to be ahead of that, which is why it's important for us to communicate this, to be a part of these sessions, so our public knows we're not asleep at the wheel. No one's taking a rest right now, and that there is work being done, and it's good to show that and stand on that. But also, just as in the community report, just as I say this, just as even with Summer Guardian, give us the feedback. If there's something that we could do better, change, we're asking for that feedback. The question is, will you give it?
So Chief, what's your focus and your goal as we head into the last 6 months of the year?
One, to continue these collaborations, to ensure that we're going to be part of these community conversations, to ensure that we continue to look for new opportunities to impact our public safety, continue to work with the mayor's office, work with our partners out there, to make sure that we are also open to the feedback of what we can do to improve. We have a number of things that are coming down the pipeline, dealing with our reckless driving, dealing with our, issues with firearms. But it's important for us to report that out, to show that we're not just sitting on our hands, that we're not just waiting for something to happen. We're making something happen.
Can I ask a quick follow-up question? Was Operation Summer Guardian useful over this past weekend, its first weekend in use?
So I know we have made arrests. We got to ensure that we get all the information that's still compiling and making sure that we're adequately reporting. But they were out there and making that presence known, and we'll continue to look and review and ensure that we are being as responsive and as effective as possible.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.